All right. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I've got like 30 minutes to spare right now because it took me a while to get everything set up. It's been a while, man. I haven't done this in a minute, and I have a bunch of new technology and stuff to work with. So excited to be here. It's been kind of a nice little break, nice little week or so off. But in terms of what's going on, Corey, these are coming in a little bit later. The chat and everything like that. There's a little delay, so if it takes me a second to get to everybody, you know why. Yeah, so it's been kind of nice to have this little break. Just sort of like, just to have like a little time to relax. I don't know if anybody's looked at the second half schedule, but man, we are in for it. Like that first month it's crazy. It's a lot going on. That first month is, I am drinking water. Do you want me to take a sip? I'll do it off camera. Not cause a stir or anything like that. But yeah, I should be I should be interfacing with YouTube as well. So hopefully those comments come in. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the other one. Yeah, I mean, I guess I wanted to get a little bit into the Blake Griffin thing. I actually don't have that much to add on it. I thought Steve Jones Jr. did a really great thread, which I'm sure everybody's seen by now. What's going on, Fred? But yeah, I mean, I thought that was a really good thread, just kind of interesting. And it sounds like I did a column today with Ku Khalil of Detroit Bad Boys, who's our sister site at SB Nation. He sounds like he's kind of in the same boat where probably best to put him in a switching defense. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It actually made me feel a little bit more optimistic about how Blake's going to work. Doesn't mean he's going to be good at the switching, but at least that's the scheme you want to put him in. What's up, 8-5? So that's kind of interesting that's the way you wanted to deploy him, I guess, is just put him in that switching scheme. Otherwise, I'm excited, appreciate that, Fred. I enjoyed putting the Claxton video together. I had those clips, honestly, sitting on my computer for like a week. So I was pretty excited to be able to like finally do something with them. I just had them sitting there. And I remember I wanted to do something after the Houston game. And then, I don't know, scheduling, something happened where I couldn't do it. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what happened that week. But basically, I couldn't do it. And I just had these sitting here, and I finally got to put it together. That's the beauty of having a week off. So, Nets Pulse, what's going on? That Clax video was great. I know he can get rotation minutes. Do you think he will? Woo, isn't that the $1 million question? Oh my God, I have a comment on YouTube as well. I will get to that in a second. So on Claxton, I had to say, I think because of what he brings as a switchable defender, he's going to get some minutes, I think, down the stretch, and it's going to be his to lose. Now, I don't know, though. This might be just a team where they're like, we're going all in on veteran talent, and this is not a year of development, even, development as you're building and trying to build for a championship. That might be what the idea for this team is. I don't know. The nice thing about Clax, and that's kind of what I detailed in this video, was I don't think his blemishes, like he doesn't have that many young guy mistakes. So in a lot of ways, you can get away with throwing him out there. I mean, look, the numbers will tell half the story. He's putting up a point per minute when he comes out there. That's nice and everything. But I think because of what he does as a switchable defender, and the thing that's really impressed me is just his instincts as a team defender. I think that's the stuff that is just, it's going to be tough to keep him on the bench. It is. It's just to keep it straight. Like, it's going to be pretty tough to keep him on the bench. As for Blake, we'll know early. We'll know within 2 weeks what it looks like. This guy can go out tomorrow and play out of his mind, or he can come in there and just, he looks cooked, and it's like, okay, I guess this guy is going to be the 11th man. I'm optimistic. I like Blake Griffin a lot, so maybe that's part of it. That's a guy I grew up watching. So in the same sense where I am almost, it's very cool to cover Kevin Durant, but it's also somebody that was like so a part of my like basketball upbringing. That's kind of how I feel about Blake Griffin as well. Any news about KD tomorrow? I wish I knew. I wish I knew. We have a practice in 30 minutes, so I will try to ask that. It's probably going to be, I don't know. I actually don't know what it would be because we have had a week off, but I don't know. It's a good question though. Can Blake be the bench version of Bruce Brown? Yeah, actually, let me answer this YouTube question. I got you. You thought March was a tough month of the NBA before? Oh boy. I'm assuming you're talking about the schedule. Yeah, no, this is going to be crazy. The thing I'm looking forward is that Portland, Utah back-to-back. It's 2 10 p.m. games, which, after doing that West Coast trip, I think I'm built for that. I also, cover sports for a job, so I can't complain about that. But yeah, no, it'll be fun. What was I going to say? This is confusing with two of these. I need these to come into one area. Can Blake be a bench version of Bruce Brown? Yeah, I think there's some, not confusion, but maybe misconception is a better way to describe it about what Bruce Brown brings. Like, guys don't cut like that. You can't just, we saw it with Andre Robertson, who I don't know if he's coming back or not. I don't know, might be. But for him, it's like, as much as it makes sense to be like, yeah, just use him as a cutter, with all the spacing that the Nets have, it just makes sense if he cuts middle, does those cuts from the wing to the paint and do those cuts that Bruce Brown has done so well. The one issue with that is that's not really something that is necessarily a skill that is just sitting there. Like a guy is just like, oh, I should have been doing this the whole time. No, like that's instinctive. That's a real deal skill. Think of it as like 3-point shooting. Like you can't just be like, hey, Andre Robertson, why don't you shoot 37%? It's just not going to happen. Like it's not really going to happen. And the same thing goes for Bruce as a cutter. I do think that Blake, I saw, I don't know where this is from. I think this was in one of the group chats I was in. Somebody compared him to like Boris Diaw, which I like that comp a lot. I think that could be the kind of role that he plays for the Nets. Just a really high IQ veteran. Doesn't really make mistakes, actually can defend a little bit in the post. He's got really good post numbers over the years, even in the recent years. So, and a guy just is a really smart passer. I think that comp makes quite a bit of sense. I like the Boris Diaw move. What do we got here? All right, I'm going to go back to YouTube. Otto Porter or Ariza? Probably Porter because he's 27. I'm a little skeptical of his ability to move around the perimeter, but I think Porter because he's younger. That would be what I would go with. He also gives a little more size, so he's going to give you a real deal 4 minutes, and that's what he is at this point. He's not a guy that's going to be playing 2 or 3. No, he's going to be a 4. I know positions don't matter in the NBA, but still you do look at who guys are going to guard on defense. He's going to be guarding 4s. What do we got? Brooklyn versus Philadelphia, 7-game series. Who wins if fully healthy? Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question because I was literally, this is what I do when I'm at home. Like, look, I'm at home. You'd think I would be like, I'm not going to think about basketball, right? I got my time off. I'm sitting there doing dishes thinking about a 7-game series between Brooklyn and Philadelphia. I'm like, dude, I am such a loser for sitting here. Like, I really can't think of anything else. In reality, I've been putting a lot of thought into it. I think it would be pretty good. I have Brooklyn because talent, and that just seems like the easy answer. But they're really fun because I think Ben Simmons is the type of guy you want to throw at a Kyrie Irving. Like, if there's one thing that can kind of slow Kyrie down, and kind of, so I want to put that disclaimer out there. It's a little bit of size, and I think that's what you would throw at Kyrie. Harden, I have no answer. I think Harden gets his, and then Durant, it's just like another guy that's going to get his. So at that point, then you're playing the Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid game because Tobias Harris has been very good this year. I think it'd be a really good series. I think it would be a good series. We don't really know what Nash is going to look like in a playoff setting. He seems like a guy that makes the right adjustments. You can point to that Phoenix game where they started running inverted pick and rolls and picked on DeAndre Ayton. They also did that against the Hawks with Trae Young. So in that sense, I do think that it could be a good series for that. But against Philadelphia, where there aren't really any, weak links, I think it would be pretty interesting series. So talent says pick Brooklyn, but I think it would just be fun because neither team's really built. That's not true. The Nets aren't really built to stop Philadelphia. They're just not. So I think that kind of evens it out a little bit. All right. What do we got? Back to these. Do we know when KD is back? You guys, I don't know. I don't know. I've been asked. I want to see him back too. I don't know. He's a stretch big. No way he gets benched. He will give good selection problems to Nash. I'm assuming this is about Clax. Yeah, no, I the stretching isn't there. The offense is the only thing I'm a little bit worried about him, but he's such an athletic finisher that I think he can get away with quite a bit. But it doesn't sound like they really want him shooting just yet. Just based on the little, glimpses that we've gotten with him and just talking to the coaches, I guess. I don't think that's something that's going to be a primary focus right now. The big thing for him would just be that ability to switch. I think that's what keeps him on the floor. It's just so unique. What's going to happen to TJ's minutes? And if we were to acquire PJ, whose minutes and time will he take? Do you think Nash utilizes him regarding small ball versus traditional lineup? Yeah, I mean, if they get PJ Tucker, eventually this front court's going to get really crowded. Like, it just is. Like, you bring in PJ Tucker, and I don't know what that tweet yesterday about the Andre Drummond to Brooklyn. It ended in lol. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be taking that. I'm taking that with a grain of salt. But I think if you bring in PJ, that's when I would get a little bit worried in a sense for, like, say, we've brought up Clax a couple of times, but even what does that mean for Jeff Green? It may actually make more sense to lower Jeff Green's minutes a little bit. But, these guys that have been such integral parts of the rotation, we haven't even mentioned Durant, who, I think he's best utilized as a 4. It doesn't really matter. But if you're playing, a lineup of let's pick out Blake Griffin. No, let's go DeAndre Jordan, PJ Tucker, Kevin Durant, and then 2 other players, whatever. That's kind of weird. That's a weird setup in a way. I guess you would put Kevin Durant on one side and try to keep him on that weak side so that he's that shot blocker in a sense. But you kind of want PJ Tucker there as well. So I think that gets a little bit confusing and something you have to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have, obviously. Like, if you bring in anybody, it's just going to be guys fighting for minutes. That's exactly what you want. But I do think it's interesting. As for TJ, I don't really see, just based on how aggressive the Nets appear to be at the deadline, at the buyout, on the buyout market, really. I don't think he's really going to play that much. You're getting better minutes from Landry Shamet. You just are. The floor spacing that he provides, especially as a screener for Harden, when you're running those bench units out, I think that in a way that necessitates Landry Shamet being out there. Other guys that are maybe in the mix, I mean, TLC seems like he's going to play forever, but I would assume that TJ's in over him. It seems like he's won over the coaching staff's trust in that sense. But yeah, I think the more they're going to be active, it seems like they're going to trend a little bigger, if anything. They're just going to be a little bit of a bigger team, and that makes sense if you look at the rebounding issues. What do we got? Putting him in the pick and roll. Which way? That's the question. I agree with putting Blake in the pick and roll, but is he the screener? Is he the ball handler? You can get funky with it. I actually want them to start using, this is a thing that is absolutely not going to happen, by the way. But I would love to see them use Blake as the ball handler, and you're using Kyrie and Harden screening. I don't think it'll happen, especially with Harden, because he just isn't. He's a great shooter. I don't think he's like a super. I almost want to say like he's not even comfortable at certain points with shooting off the catch. I like that stuff. I love keeping the defense on its toe. I mean, you do that with Jeff Green. They've done that in that Phoenix game that I brought up. But I would love to see them kind of mix that up and use Blake that way. Is Nick Claxton viewed as a main part of the core? Yeah, see, I would say that, but I can't at this point predict anything. Just because of, guys that have been described as the core have been traded for pieces, by the way, better pieces, but I think for now they're really high on him, and I would assume just because of the production that they've gotten, they want to see what else he can do if you put him in some big moments. Scary thing is Nets have 3 guys who are elite scorers. Simmons can't guard them all. Yeah, but they got Tybal, they got Danny Green. I get it. He's a little cooked at this point. He's still long. Joel Embiid, we haven't even brought him up. Harris is, I think, better than passable on defense. So it's a better series than you'd think. I've seen a lot of just overflowing confidence on Nets Twitter, Nets wherever, about the matchup with the Sixers. I respect it. I love it. I do think it would be a better series than people realize. Heard anything on the Dinwiddie front? Other than that he's tweeting? Not really. I mean, it just seems like they're rehabbing right now and shopping him a little bit. So, we don't have the big to stop Joel, but we can stop others. Yeah, you're not really going to get anybody. Dude, he cooked Rudy Gobert. There's nothing you can do against Embiid. The biggest thing that's standing in the way of Embiid in the postseason is health, and that's it. There's nothing you can do. Do you think Joe Harris is our X factor? My bad. All right, let me get some of these YouTube ones. Brooklyn is probably going to beat Boston in 5 games in the playoffs. Yeah, I agree. I don't like that Boston team. Even some of the fringe moves, ultimately this doesn't matter. But even bringing in Jeff Teague over Wanamaker, even that move I didn't agree with. I didn't like the offseason they had. And Thompson was a good move, but he just hasn't been really, they're playing him with Tice, which I don't understand, and it seems like Celtics fans are so tired of that, and I can't blame them. But yeah, no, I didn't like the offseason they had at all. They may make sense for like an Aaron Gordon or somebody like that. I know, please don't. I know that's a meme around here, but it actually makes sense for them. Do you feel like Spencer gets dealt at the deadline? All depends on what the asking price is. Like how crazy are the Rockets being about PJ Tucker? They've been pretty wild in their asking price. I think that's kind of what they do. It seems like Stone is kind of from the school of Daryl Morey, where you ask really high and you ask ridiculous things, and then you eventually, that's sales, so that's what you want to do as a GM. But they ask really ridiculous things and propose crazy things, and then they meet a little bit lower. And by the way, they still got 7 picks for James Harden, so good on them. It's a strategy that works. How long have you been a Nets fan? I've never been a Nets fan. That's not true. Nets fan for the 2018-2019 season. I really like that team. But no, I didn't grow up a Nets fan. Do you think there's anything less than a title this year is a failure, especially with the hype around it? I would hope so. Man, you don't bring in all these stars not to win a title. I have a bunch of my friends. I'm from California originally, so good to meet you. But yeah, my friends, they're from California, and we were just talking about a Lakers-Nets finals, and I'm like, look, man, I don't think this is we're going to bring the pieces in and try to take this down and then, maybe a 2-year window. No, they want to win right now. It's going to happen this year, or I don't know when. I guess you take another stab at it next year, but they're built for it. How do I know so much about basketball? Do I coach? The reality is I don't even know that much. There is so much more I can learn, and that's kind of the beauty of this sport. And the way I learned, it's all self-taught. I read, watch, what else? Talk to. What other ways can you do things? Listen, on podcasts and stuff like that. I just listen to people take in information from those that are smarter than me. That's it. There's nothing to it, really. I'm not, in film rooms or anything like that. It's just I just have an interest in it, I guess. So that's kind of where it all comes from, is just an interest in it. And I'm always consuming film, watching film, other people's breakdowns and stuff like that. So it's kind of, I guess it came naturally because I'm looking at that stuff all the time. Who guards Embiid the most in the series? What do we got? I want to make sure I didn't lose anything. What's my opinions on Andre Drummond? Andre Drummond is... I don't know. Andre Drummond's a really hard player to get a feel for because he's only been on bad teams, like his whole career. So in that sense, I don't know what an idealized version of him looks like. Because it seems like everybody that has come to the Nets this year has been, essentially, even DeAndre, who I know people have moments where they're upset with the effort from him and whatever. Even he has showed quite a bit of life just as a roller, as somebody that is in a drop coverage and can occasionally switch up. Like, they've unlocked the best version of DeAndre, I think, that's out there at this point. And just made the most of what he can bring to the table. So for Andre Drummond, who it's like you play him as a role man and you really unlock him in that way and just take advantage of how A, big he is, B, his athleticism, because he is a legitimate athlete, and that's why he's such a good rebounder. If you can do that, and just on defense, like, you don't have to play him in a drop. I don't think he's like that. Just, hedge and recover him a little bit. Have him show up to the screen, retreat back. Like, do those sorts of things on defense. And I actually think it makes quite a bit of sense. The good thing about this team having so many stars is that it's not that hard to make a guy take an ego check. Be like, hey, look, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Blake Griffin now, they're on this team. You're not posting up, my friend. You're not going to do it. Look at how Dwight Howard changed his game for the Lakers last year. Like, that's the type of thing I think you could get. I think he offers a little bit more than Dwight, just in terms of the void that he fills for the Nets with his rebounding. Because it's funny, like, I don't even know what I think I was writing something or something of the sort. Thinking about Andre Drummond, and it's like, this guy's one of the best he might be one of the 10 best rebounders ever in that class. Like, he really might be. And it's just funny how, like, that skill isn't necessarily as important in today's league, where rebounds go long, and I think that's a big void for them. When's the deadline? I don't know why I read that out loud, because I should know that. Dude, the schedule. I think it's I gotta look that up. I'm screwing up. Trade deadline 2021. Somebody's gonna tell me by the time I look this up. March 25th. Knew it the whole time. I don't understand the PJ Tucker love. He hasn't impressed me this year. I'm gonna call this the curse of Nick Batum, because I got burned on Nick Batum, and I'll be the first to admit it. Every player that looks washed, every player now, we picture them on a winning team and we say, oh, he'll be fine. He'll be good now. It's like, I call it the curse of Nick Batum. Every player who looks, washed, or like he's not trying or whatever, he's having a bad season, well, you throw him on a winning team, he's going to be good again. It's it's the funniest thing. I swear this Nick Batum thing has changed the NBA. It really has. Because everybody cites him now. Every time there's a player that it's like, well, I don't know if he's kind of old, hasn't been playing that well. Everybody points to Nick Batum now, and I need somebody to do like I don't even know if that would be good content, but an article or something like that. I think that'd be hilarious, just to do the curse of Nick Batum, because it's a real thing, and we might be going through it with Blake. I don't know. I have no idea what he's gonna look like. Who's gonna guard Embiid for the most 7-game series? DeAndre. I think you nailed it. I don't think he'd be a liability. I think you hope that he takes jump shots. And that's it, which is a problem because he's making mid-range shots this year. Same way you defend AD. Let me go down. Any advice to upcoming reporters? Get started. Think of something you want to write. Think of something you want to create, some angle, some stat, anything that you've seen, and just get started. I started doing stuff not that long ago, doing stuff on a website that I created, and that was just sort of what I did. I was writing on my own website, and I happened to, I think what I wanted to do was like do like I think it must have been a film breakdown. I've always been into film, but it was like literally just, here's a thing from, I think like Down to Buck or one of those YouTube channels. And I just was sort of breaking down what was happening in the highlight video. I'm sure it wasn't very good. And that's what I did. I started and I did my first film study. And this is just on a random website that's defunct. There's no way you can find it anymore. So don't go look. And that's kind of what kicked it off for me. And I did that for a while. I wrote on Medium blogs. I eventually linked up with a blog, Elite Sports New York. They taught me a lot. And that's kind of how it rolls. But I would say the biggest thing is not, grab a dictionary and look at different words, or, talk to this person, talk to that person. No, like, don't worry about any of that stuff. That stuff will figure it out. The relationships, the just the like knowledge, the familiarity with whatever you want to do, CBA, stats, video, all that stuff will come. The biggest thing you got to do is just sit down and write it and do something and create something and get from a beginning to end type of thing that you've completed. Because from there, that's something that you can do again. You can try to create a different version of that. And then you can send that into blogs or whatever. But the biggest thing is just getting started. I know that's cliche. I wanted to give a good answer on that. That would be my advice. Don't just get over the hurdle of getting started. All right. I have approximately 5 minutes. Let's see if I can speed through these. Do I post in any B-ball forums, Real GM, Nets Daily Comments? I'll occasionally post in Nets Daily Comments. I should probably do it more. But that's pretty much it. I'm not like a big forum guy. I'm not on like Reddit either. It's not my form of communication. I don't know. I tweet a lot. Maybe that's the best way to reach me. With Shumpert's 10-day expiring, what do you think they should do with that last roster spot? Wait for buyouts and see what the trade market is, and you're probably going to dangle Dinwiddie. For the Nets, JaVale greater than Drummond. I think Drummond's the better player. I think you have to take that chance. In your opinion, how will BG fit in the Nets rotation? How will we help them? Same way that Jeff Green helps them. Put him in pick and rolls, have him play in the short roll a little bit. This isn't anything that I think most people have sort of put 2 and 2 together at this point with how he's going to play. I don't think I'm offering anything new here, so sorry if this isn't the best answer. But yeah, play him in pick and roll. Have him run as point or ball handler. Have him run as the screener. Allow him to play make from there, either as the creator out of the pick and roll as the ball handler, or have him receive the pass from the ball handler on the roll and make plays to the corners from there. They are always stashing one of Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving, Landry Shamet in the corners. Blake Griffin is a really top-notch passer, and I think that's what people are going to learn these first couple of weeks, and it's going to be the same way that people were very surprised about James Harden being a good passer. They're going to see that with Blake. So if you put him in that situation where he's spraying out to a 40% or better catch and shoot guy, that's going to be really advantageous. Love your videos. Keep up the hard work. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching them. The videos would be worthless if you weren't watching them. Really, I mean, that's kind of what gives me the motivation to do them, is that people are receptive and nice and give constructive criticism and all sorts of stuff, and it engages conversation in that way. All right, what do we got it? I just breezed through like 10 of those. If we miss out on Drummond, I would rather have Whiteside instead of JaVale. My friend, you are alone in the Whiteside camp. I've never been a Whiteside guy. Claxton a good matchup for Ben Simmons. His switchability and length could be good. I would worry about Simmons posting up. I would worry about that a little bit. I really like Claxton in the sense I almost like him guarding guards more than I like him guarding like guys at his position, which is weird, but I think that's what I would want to do with him. Ben Simmons can do a little bit, and he can just back guys down, and he's able to do that. He's not like an eloquent, beautiful post player, but I do worry about it a little bit in that sense. Boston has the same team comp, but we are better. Yeah, they do. They have a point guard and like 2 wings, but the Nets are definitely a better version of it. I agree. Who scares me more, Philly or Milwaukee? That's a good question. What's up, Nick? Congrats on winning the giveaway. Ooh, good question. Philly probably, right? Just because of Embiid. I feel like there's proof of concept with him. With him, I don't know, just being able to create his own shot a little bit more. I'm very high on shot creation, so Simmons can do that a little bit. All right, I got 1 more minute. We got a bunch coming in from YouTube. This is dope. It's so weird to me that I have people that are. Thank you for what I'm trying to say is thank you for subscribing on YouTube, but it's very cool that some of you guys have moved over to that platform. That's where I'm going to be streaming. If you don't know, Periscope is shutting down in a month, so I'll be doing everything on YouTube. Knicks Fan TV, who is on Max Kellerman. Have you imagined yourself filling that void or point Nets to a channel that does something similar? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'll leave it at that. Stay tuned. It's funny you bring up Knicks Fan TV. Stay tuned. Whiteside, it looks like he never wants to play. Dude is so lazy. Yeah, he just lost a lot. I don't know. I can't do the Whiteside experience. Do you think... What's up, Alec? Do you think Timothy Cabarro can be a rotation player in this postseason? If you had one skill that was consistent... One skill. One. Just give me one. It's so weird. The defense doesn't translate game to game. The shooting is very high variance, which it normally is, but it especially feels like it is with him. The passing. If you had one, I would be intrigued, but I don't know if we're there. All right, guys. I got to get going. We have a presser in 4 minutes, so I got to get on that. But stay tuned for that. If you're on YouTube, follow me on Twitter. Hopefully we get a KD update. That'd be ideal. And if you're on Twitter, go follow my YouTube, subscribe to it. I'll be doing stuff. We'll see about the Blake Griffin debut, but that's the plan right now. I'm going to be putting things out there, and eventually we're going to move these lives over to YouTube. Thank you all for joining in. This has been fun to get one of these done. And I hope to be doing this soon. The nice little break allowed me to get one of these. So thank you guys. I'll see you